Welcome back to my YouTube channel. So for today, we are going to learn what is the compound personal pronouns. Again, our topic for today is about compound personal pronouns. But before that, listen first to this telephone conversation that I will be reading for you. Are you joining the overnight camp in school? Yes, the club advisors told us about it last meeting, but the student leaders just read the list of the interesting activities this morning in the assembly. I myself always enjoy the activities in an overnight camp. Did they mention who will lead the different groups of the club? The teachers mentioned that the students themselves will choose new leaders for their group. You submit your intention to Miss Perez so you can join us. You yourself are capable of leading a group. Thank you for your trust in my ability. By the way, who will give the inspirational talk? Mr. Luis Castro, the town's outstanding citizen. He himself will talk on how overcome poverty to finish his studies and eventually help each other people. That's wonderful. Mr. Castro has helped my family. He helped my father finish his studies too. Is that so? I hope to hear from him. I am looking forward to our camp. Okay, as you can see in our telephone conversation by this girl and this man, okay, can you see these underlined words in our sentence or our telephone conversational sentence? So, these sentences, do you know that these sentences are called the compound personal sentences? These themselves, yourself, and himself are one of the examples of compound personal pronouns. So now let us define what is a compound personal pronoun. So these compound personal pronouns are the pronouns formed by adding the suffix self or selves to personal pronouns. So personal pronouns, these personal pronouns like I, you, he, she, it, we, our, they, and them. So that is all the personal pronouns. So if we add self and selves at the end of each word, it is called now as compound personal pronouns. So take a look at this. We have a singular pronouns like my, your, her, him, and it. So to make it a compound personal pronoun, we should add self. Myself, yourself, herself, himself, and itself. Okay, if it's singular pronoun, you can add self. Okay, add only self to its personal pronoun to make it a compound personal pronoun. But in a plural pronouns, you will add selves. Okay, selves to make it a compound personal pronoun. Add selves at the end of the personal pronoun. So our personal pronoun are your, our, and them. So again, to make it a compound personal pronoun, we should add selves. Yourselves, ourselves, and themselves. Okay? So we know now what are the compound personal pronouns. There are two types of compound personal pronouns. The first one is reflexive pronoun. When I say reflexive pronouns, these are the pronouns that are compound personal pronouns that refer back to the subject, which could either be a noun or pronoun. So it is used when the object of the sentence is the same as the subject in our sentence. So when we say refer back to the subject, okay, this means that it is referring to the subject itself. Okay, you are referring to the subject itself. For example, the cat licked itself. Our noun here is cat, and we have our compound personal pronoun itself. So itself acts as an object, and cat is the subject. So again, reflexive pronoun if the object is also the subject. Okay, if our subject is if our object is the same with our subject, because cat or itself is referring to the cat. Cat lick itself. Who licked the cat? Who licked itself? It is the cat. Okay? Again, itself is referring to the cat, which is the noun of our sentence, the noun that it modifies. Okay? So, we have, in reflexive pronouns, we use it in three ways. So, the first one is as a direct object when the subject and object are the same. For example, I treated myself to an ice cream. Okay, they are being separated by a verb. Treated. I treated myself to an ice cream as a direct object. Again, our subject here is I, and myself acts as an object. Okay, so as a direct subject, when the subject and object are the same, I is also referring to myself. I, myself. Okay, they are the same. So it is called a direct object if you are also referring to the subject. If the object is also referring to the subject. I, myself. He, himself. She, herself. Okay. Next, as the object of the preposition. For example, I gave a treat to myself. Again, object of the preposition. So this is called as an object of the preposition if it follows a preposition. So we have here a preposition to. Okay, preposition to. Therefore, myself is reflexive pronoun that acts as an object of the preposition. I gave myself. I is the subject. Gave is the verb. To is the preposition. And myself is the object of the preposition. Okay. Next we have it. We also use it to emphasize the subject. For example, I will fix it myself. Okay, you are emphasizing the subject. Subject is I, and our compound personal pronoun here is emphasizing the subject. I, myself. Okay, I will fix it myself. Who is the one who is the one will fix it? It is I. It is myself. Okay, so I'll give you another example about this one. So my father will buy me a new toy himself. My father will buy me a new toy himself. So the subject is my father, and the to emphasize the father, I use himself. He himself will buy me a new toy. Okay. Next, let's move on to the intensive pronouns. So intensive pronouns are compound personal pronouns which give emphasis to noun or pronoun in a sentence. They are placed after the subject in the sentence. So our example a while ago, reflexive pronouns can also be used as to emphasize the subject. Here, in our intensive pronoun, it is also used to emphasize the subject, but take a look at our example. He himself paid for the book. Okay, he himself paid for the book. He is the subject and himself, followed by himself, the compound personal pronoun himself, paid for the book. So as you can see, he and himself is he is followed by himself. While in our example a while ago, to emphasize a noun using a reflexive pronoun, they are separated. Okay? For example, we will clean the room ourselves. We is the subject and ourselves is the compound personal pronoun, and they are separated. Okay? There are words between them. Okay? So again, in intensive pronoun, it emphasizes. you are emphasizing, it gives more emphasis to the subject. Okay, for another example, my dad himself throw the garbage. It is my dad who throw the garbage. Okay, not anyone else but my dad. I'll give you another example. My mother herself was surprised at my gift. Again, my mother herself was surprised at my gift. Okay, the subject there is mother, and the compound personal is herself. Okay, and they followed each other, mother herself. Okay, so the difference between intensive pronoun and the reflexive pronoun used to emphasize a subject. Intensive pronoun can be taken out. Okay, these compound personal pronouns can be taken out. So if you take this out, himself, take that out, he paid for the book. It still has a whole idea. It still has a complete thought. While the reflexive pronoun, it is already the part of a sentence. For example, I will example a while ago. We will clean the room ourselves. Okay, that is a reflexive pronoun used to emphasize a subject. Okay, we will clean the room. We will clean the room ourselves. We is the subject and ourselves is our compound personal pronoun which emphasize the subject. But here, ourselves, you cannot take that out. We will clean the room. Okay, we will clean the room. Who will clean the room? You. Okay, here, he himself paid for the book. So here, himself, you can take this out too. But you can take this out. If you take this out, it still has a full idea or has a complete thought. So we have intensive pronouns can be taken out and the sentence will still make the sense. So just like what I said earlier, my sister herself paid for the popcorn. So if you take this out, if you take the herself out, my sister paid for the popcorn. So still, it has a whole idea. Who paid the popcorn? It is my sister. Okay? It has a complete thought.